LeetCode Problem 42, Trapping Rainwater. So this problem gives us an array of non-negative integers, and if you put them in the bar chart like this, and our job is to basically find how many rainwater this basically bar chart can hold, right? So for example, there's water here, right, because it's surrounded by two black walls. Same things for these four, same for here. And there's no water here or here is because there is no wall on the right or on the left to support it, right? So my approach to this problem is to use two pointers, right, left and right pointers. And I also have two variables to store the max left height and the max right height. I also have a variable called trapped here, and this is what we'll be returning, and this is what we'll be calculating and returning. So I have a while loop here, and this while loop will iterate through, will keep iterating until my left and right pointers meet up, right? So let's look at the if else statements. So using the example as an example, right? So I have height here, and now we check whether max left is lesser or equal than max right. Right, so max left is initialized to the first value of height, and max right is initialized to the last value of height. And since max left is less than equals to right, so 0 is lesser than 1, it will enter this if statement. So I'll increment my left by 1, and I'll try to see whether or not there is any trapped water in this space, right? So trap will plus the max of 0 and max left, which is 0, minus left of 1 is 1, minus 1, right? Remember, because we incremented left before, so now our pointer is pointing at this number. And since this is negative 2 and negative 1, so we get the max, which is 0, so our trap does not change. Okay, after that, we update the max left value, and since 1 is more than 0, so we update it here, and you move on to the next iteration. So max left is equals to max right now. We'll enter this again, left will increment, and see whether or not there's any trap, right? So it will be max of 0 and max left, which is 1, minus 0, right? Remember pointing at this pointer from our left. So in this case, there is a trap water. Looking at this, there's a trap water. So trap is now updated to 1, right? And then we update max left again. But since the height of left is 0, so the max left is not touched. Okay, then we compare again. Since they are the same, so we increment, and we see or not there's any trap waters, right? So plus max of 0 and max left minus 2, right? So in this case there is no water because this one brings negative 1, and then we update max left. So now max left, since 2 is more than 1, so we update it to 2. Okay, right now, since my max left is more than max right, so we look at the back now, right? So from the back, we decrement the right pointer, and we see that there's any trap waters here or not, right? So it will be plus max of 0, max right minus 2, right? Which will bring us negative 1, so there's no water. After that, we update it, and since max right is 1 and we're looking at 2, so it will update to 2, right? So now since both max left and max right are the same, then we go back to the left pointer, and then we increment again, so we see whether or not there's any trap water, max of 0 and max left minus 4 minus 1. Right, so we're looking at this area here. And since there is a trap water, so trap will now become 2. And then we see whether or not we need to replace max left, which in this case we don't have to because the height is 1. Right, after that, since they're the same again, so we increment our left pointer one more time. We check whether or not there's any trap water plus max of 0, max left 2 minus 0. Alright, remember looking at this value. So there is trap water over here. There's trap water. So trap is now become 4. And then we update max left, but we don't need to because the height is 0. Right, so the same thing for this again. This will increment our left by 1. Right, so and then we check whether or not there's any trap water, which there is, so it become 5. And then we don't need to update max left because it is 1. And then we increment again because they're the same. And now we see whether or not there's trap water in this part, but there isn't because if we do the math, max left 2 minus 3 will bring us negative 1, right? And the maximum between negative 1 and 0 is 0, so trap will not change, but our max left will update because 3 is more than 2. Alright, so now since 3 is more than 2, since max left is more than max right, we go back to our right pointer, we decrement it to 9. So now we're looking at, I believe it's this one, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we're looking at this number. We see whether or not there's any trap water. So it will be max of 0 and max right 2 minus 1, which there is. So trap will increment to 6, right? And then max right will not be updated because the height is 1. Then we decrement again, and nothing changes because there's no water here. And then since after we decrement one more time, the pointer meet up, the while loop ends, and we just return the trapped value, which for this example will be 6. Right? So through this algorithm, you can see that we are actually squishing the 2 pointers to meet up into the front. And to check whether or not there are waters on the left or on the right, is that we compare whether or not the current height is lesser than the max left height, right? Or the max right height. Okay, so basically that's how my algorithm works. That's all I have to show. Thanks.